Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks for joining me today. I'm here with a new layout using some older supplies. And I don't know if you remember this collection, but it's from 2013 and it's from My Mind's Eye and it's called Find Your Wings and Fly. And I remember when this was first released, I went goo-goo over it and I just had to have it. And I think I used some of it in a previous collection and then I wound up buying it a second time and hoarding it. And what I have left of it now are the 12 by 12 papers and the 12 by 12 sticker sheet, and I believe that's it. But it's got a lot of circus things on it, a lot of really bright colors, mustaches, which I probably will never use, but I love the different patterns and the colors are so pretty. I was just so drawn to this collection, and so I found it sitting on my shelf and I thought, let's use that. So I'm going to do one of my favorite things to do on a layout, and that is back a cut file. And I'm going to use black cardstock as my background. And I found this cut file from Just Nick's Studio, and it's called Funky Striped Background. And I kind of situated the stripes on the lower half of the page and left some cardstock blank up at the top, and that's where my picture is going to go. And I'm going to just dive right in and start hacking into these 12 by 12 papers and cutting strips out and just glue them behind each stripe. And I know that it's painful to watch, to cut into a perfectly beautiful 12 by 12 pattern paper, but like I said, this is 5 years old, and if I don't use it, it's going to sit there on my shelf and continue to collect dust. And so if that means cutting into this paper just for a little strip, then that's what I'm going to do. And chances are I'm not going to use any of these papers as a background, and if there were any papers that I would consider as a background, then I didn't cut into it. But most of these are really loud and busy. They're very beautiful, but I wouldn't use them as a background, and so I don't feel that bad about just cutting into it for a paper strip. And so I'm going to sort through all the papers and look for the parts of each one that I want to add to the background. And through the magic of time and editing, I've got it all done. And I found one at the bottom, the second one from the bottom, that says hold fast to your dreams. I thought that looked really good there. And I'm going to use a pool photo for this. I printed it kind of large. It's not a full-on 4x6, but I did convert it to black and white because I had so many colors going on. I thought a black and white picture would pop off the background and against all those colors. And I've got a gazillion pool photos that I can scrap in color, and so sometimes I just feel like I want to make it black and white, and so that's what I'm doing today. And I'm going to use a couple of papers to use as layers behind the picture, so I'm just kind of cutting and tearing and then using my little edge distressor there to ruffle up the edges a little bit so it's not perfectly smooth. And if you notice, I'm going to have lots of space on the right side of the picture to start adding embellishments because she's on the left side of the picture. And I try to think about those kind of things when I'm able to, when I'm taking my pictures, because, you know, us crazy scrapbookers always think about those kind of things when you're taking pictures of your kids, right? Okay, maybe not all the time, but if I'm able to situate the picture like I want it, then I will. And she was being still here, so it was easier to get the picture. But I'm going to start to go through the sticker sheet here, and I found that little banner piece that I just cut up. I love the phrase on it. It says, "Nobody sees the world quite like you," and that suits my daughter perfectly. Actually suits both of them perfectly, but I wanted to use that, but I didn't want it to use the whole piece as in the whole banner, and so I just kind of stuck it to some white cardstock, cut it out, and then cut it up so I can layer it in a different way. And I am going to use that memories piece, and that's a sticker. I just stuck it right on top because I do want to use it there. And it's a very bright lime green color, which I hardly ever use, but it's in this collection and it matches and goes with the bright pink and the blues, and I just went with it because I think it looks pretty. Now I traced around the picture with a pencil so I can add a little bit of paint and mixed media kind of coming out from behind the picture. And I'm going to use some of the Vicky Bouton acrylic paints. Those are actually in the 2018 May color kit from Hip Kit Club, and that's a light pink color. I'm just kind of squirting a little bit down and then using my palette knife to scrape it around And then this is the blue, the light blue. Actually, no, that's from my stash. That's not the Vicky Bouton. This color matched the blue and the papers a little bit better. That's just some cheap acrylic paint that I have in my stash. But the light pink is definitely from Vicky Bouton. Now I'm going to water this down a little bit and just start to add splatters. And if you've never used a dark blue or dark black background with acrylic paint on it, you really should, because the black background really makes the colors from the paint just pop off the page. And the acrylic paints are so thick that they're going to dry nice and colorful. They're not just going to soak through. This color that I'm using here is actually one of the new Shimmers colors. And that one is an original Shimmers paint, and it's called It's Meant to Be. And you can see here, it's got a little bit of shimmer and sparkle to it. And it also dries really nicely on the black background. So here's some more of the Vicky Bouton paint. This is the green color. There are 4 paint colors that come together, and I'm just going to stick my finger in it and just smudge it down with my finger. I wanted to add pops of that green color up at the top since I've got some of that color going on in the papers. And I don't know why I'm using my acrylic block to mix paint, but that's what I'm using there. It just wipes off, but I think I just didn't have any plastic packaging in my reach at the moment. So I'm just going to keep working with the paint here. I'm not going to add too much. I don't want to cover up a lot of those stripes, but I do want to add a little bit of, you know, smudges of paint there. This is another Shimmers color. It's called Royal Red. This is an older color, but there is some red in those papers, and so I wanted to add a little touch of that up at the top. And I know that looks kind of bloody, but when it dries, it doesn't. It dries a little more on the pink side, more of a reddish pink, but when it's wet, it looks, yeah, it looks like I cut myself, but I didn't. I'm just going to keep working here, adding a little more pink. This time I'm using a brush. Yeah, this is my problem with mixed media, is I just never know when to stop. I just keep going. Now, I forgot to hold this up close to the, there I go. Oh yeah, I did. I had some stitching. I let everything dry, and then I ran a lot of those stripes through my my sewing machine using black thread, just some zigzags and some crooked back and forth, and I left some of the strings hanging, and I also stitched under the memories sticker. I did add some foam, and then I'm going to add that banner piece and that little phrase square on top of the picture right there. And this is a little piece of a scalloped die cut. It's just on my desk in my stash of stuff. I don't remember where I got that, but I'm going to cover it with pink paint and then just use it as a little piece of a layer. And then I reached into my stamps, and I cannot even tell you how long or how old these stamps are, how long I've had them, but I just felt like stamping on some of the stripes. And this is a little scalloped piece. It's actually a little border stamp set. I think I got it from Michael's years ago. Sometimes you just find random things at Michael's. I think it's the Recollections brand, actually. But yeah, I've got so many things. These are from Evalicious. Again, I have this random bin of stuff on my desk, and I should go through it, honestly, because there are so many random things in there. Stuff that's probably buried that I haven't seen in years that I need to go through, because if I don't see it, I can't use it. So yeah, that's not doing me any good. So I'm going to start to glue things down here. I think the stitching added a lot of texture and it just added to the whole messy factor, because those stripes are kind of crooked and wonky, and so I wanted to add the crooked and wonky stitching. I didn't want to add too much more to the picture because I felt like I had enough on top of it. And again, I'm not covering up her. I didn't want to get anything near her or cover up her face or anything, because when there's open space on the picture, I feel like it's okay to add stuff on top of it if it doesn't, you know, take away from the focal point of the picture. Now, I do want to add a little bit of something down at the bottom right, and so I'm going to use more stickers and some fussy cut pieces from this cut apart paper from the collection. I'm going to use that camera, which I added some foam to, and then I'm going to fussy cut out one of these really pretty watercolory looking flowers, and then I'm going to cut out this scalloped circle that says happy on it. and kind of just create a little cluster down there. And I'm going to put that right above that hold fast to your dreams. And that came from one of the 12 by 12 papers also. That's some lime green thread, or as close to lime green as I have in my ribbon, that's not ribbon, thread collection. And then I'm going to add some blue to the right. And I love how all these colors are popping against the black background. I don't know, I just felt like making a random background and I wanted to use up some of that paper. And so this collection was perfect for these stripes, I think. Now here's something you probably haven't seen in a while. Do you remember all those black American Crafts? And I think there's a Pink Fresh Studio sticker set in there as well. I'm going to use this one. I haven't used it yet. I've been hoarding it. It says today, and I thought, I know it's black against black, but I'm going to wind up tracing around it so it pops off the page a little more. And I just didn't want to have to sit forever and come up with a clever title. Sometimes I just want to use what I have, and the whole point of this kind of a layout is to use up stash. And so that's what I'm doing. And so if I have a sticker or a word or a phrase that just kind of, I can make it work, then that's perfect. And so today is going to be part of my title. I can't remember at this point if I add more. I made this several days ago and I'm just now getting around to the voiceover. I'm adding more thread up at the top, and then I'm going to start to glue things down because I know I want it to stay there. I combined some pink and red thread over on the right because I didn't want true red and I didn't want true pink, and when you mix the two threads together you actually get a third color, so it's kind of cool. Now I wish I would have stitched through that little banner sticker piece on top of the picture before I stuck it down, but I didn't, and so I just used my pen to kind of do a zigzag drawing of a stitch. And here's some more stash. My buttons. I have so many buttons. Who has lime green buttons? Me. Yep, I have them. I think I went through a phase in Michael's where I stalked the dollar bin, and every time I would go in there I would buy buttons. And now I have a ton of buttons, and what am I doing with them? Looking at them. And so I thought, use some of the buttons. So I'm going to just tuck some under. I also found a random wooden brad, and it was lime green. And I thought, yep, it's got to go on this page, because when am I going to use lime green again? So I'm going to glue all these buttons down. I just kind of layered some here and there, and it just adds another bit of interest and color and texture. These are some random Me and My Big Ideas white stickers. And I thought, let's find some to use. So I'm going to use a couple of those because, again, the white stickers are going to show up really nicely on the dark background. This is a little sticker that says, "This happened." And then I think I'm going to pull another one that says, "Lovely." And I'm going to use that right above "Today." Just because it's white and I had it and it matched, and it's going to go right there. These are some of the Tim Holtz phrase stickers. Again, you can get these at Michael's. You can buy the ones that have the actual phrases or the ones that have just the single words, and they come in white and black. Added a couple of those, and then I'm going to go through, I actually stitched through all those too. And this is my white gel pen. I'm going to go around and trace the today letters so it pops off the page a little bit more. And I can't remember what those phrase stickers say at the moment, but there's the final layout. I love how this turned out. I added the date. I didn't add any journaling. It was just a random cute picture. You can see kind of how my cardstock is kind of shining. It was hard to get a good photo of this in the light because it kept reflecting off of the cardstock. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was fun to pull out this old collection and make it new again, so to speak, using the cut file and the mixed media, and it was a lot of fun to make. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you had any questions about anything that I did or anything that I used, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.